Give me a lever and I will move the world. These ancient words from wise men are more relevant now than ever. Today, more and more companies and individuals are leveraging technology to create great products online. The lever has transformed into digital tools. Hello everyone and welcome to Leverage, the show where we talk about building great products online. In this podcast, you will learn how to leverage product management, NoCode and AI to innovate, make better decisions, stay relevant in your career, and grow your business as a company or as a solopreneur. From product managers to product builders and solopreneurs and even beyond, you will learn from the best to achieve your own success. Hello everyone, today we are talking about product design and no-code to turn ideas into real products with Karla Fernandes. Thanks for joining us, Karla.
Thank you for having me, Antonio.
Welcome. Karla, I've checked your bio, very impressive. You have over 25 years experience in design. You've worked with more than 100 companies worldwide. You lived in 11 different countries. It was 100 countries. Each week you change country. Can you maybe share what led you into the world of product and no code?
That's an amazing question. I have done a bit of everything, like you said. I am a coder, right? Like I can do code websites, and my journey was from graphic design for web design. And I realized when I started to be a web designer that people didn't want to hire a designer nor a developer. They were really interested in hiring product or getting a website done or their app done. So that's why I got really involved with a product in the end, because customers were more interested in the final product than how you would get to it.
Yeah, that's very interesting because that's true. Most of the developers, when you start coding, most of the time you start with backend, right? You understand SQL and then you start to understand the database diagram, to understand that part. Front end comes later, so design, it's sometimes not even in a background. So you said you started as a web designer and then you noticed, oh yeah, nobody wants to hire web designers, but I wanted to ask you why and what's the added value then of a designer?
Okay, so from my point of view, what will happen when you go to a store and you have 100 wine bottles in front of you is that you choose based on something. And most of the time, that's something will be how the product is packaged. In the case of wine, you see the bottle, is that transparent, it has sparkling on it, it is shiny or not. Then what is in the label? Is the label beautiful? Does it talk with you? The name of it? So that is design. That how you choose in the end, like if you never tried the wine, right? Like if you did try, you may just say like, okay, I go for the safe option that I know it works. I haven't drunk that before. It's really good. Or you get other ways to choose. Some people say like, okay, I will choose the cheapest one, or I will choose the most expensive one. And there are even, how you say, studies done with branding and with this type of idea of the same thing being put there on the store as a cheaper price and as also as a more expensive price, that people will evaluate the product differently, even when it's the same exact product, even when it has the same exact product, like a content, right?
That's very interesting.
So, yeah, they have done a study with that in the US with a company that just sold shoes that were like a $10 to $20. And their store was like filled up with, shoes, big prices, like a very kind of a messy organization. What do you expect most of the stores you go, like when they are selling to everyone, right? If you go to a store that's a little bit higher value, like let's talk about even a department store, like Zara is not super expensive, but you see Zara a much better store than one that has a lot of products in front of of the window, right? So they did that with these shoes, and they put the same exact shoes to $400 and $600. And they changed the name of the store. They did gave it a new brand, so gave it more space inside the store, put the prices really small, and did an event, and they sold the same shoes for 10, 20 times the price.
This is a great illustration about how it's about value, what to say, perceived.
Perceived, yes.
Real value. So I think here we are touching the perceived value with design, right? And it adds value, because it highlights and it put the highlight of the value. And even if it's, you value the functionality of something, like it should work. And as we said before, people are interested about a product that works. Well, the design is something key here, actually. And I think in the upcoming years, because we are building more easily, like easier and easier each year because of AI, because of NoCode, and then we go back to NoCode, actually the distribution will become harder and harder, right? And how do you stand out from the crowd? Well, maybe design will come back and we're going to see more and more demand for product designers. So maybe what you've noticed at the beginning, companies were not very interested about web designer. Maybe we're going to become more interested about web designers because it's going to be a way to stand out. So very exciting.
Yeah. The companies were interested in the web designer. I would say that they were not interested in designers or developers. They wanted the product, the final product. They wanted the website. And it for them didn't matter if that was the job of a designer or a developer. But when they would know that they needed a designer and a developer, right? Because this was the case when the web was kind of growing. You needed two people to execute it. And they were not so interested. And that's why I went to this code route and to learn how to code, because I realized, okay, being a designer is not enough. So if I know enough of code to build a product, customers will value me more because they don't need to deal with another person. They would just come to me and say, like, Karla, I need a website. And then I would give this to them.
That's very interesting, because we always talk about like the solopreneur and the team of one or the company of one. And I think this idea, especially in NoCode, the scope, of your responsibility. If you use NoCode, you can be a product manager, a NoCode developer, and maybe also a web designer or a designer, because you can do more with less. So you can be not like a one-man show, but kind of, So that's very interesting. And I think also in the future, if you learn multiple skills and you connect the dots, it's going to be less and less easy for AI to, not replace your job. But most of the people are now talking about that. And I was thinking about but if you are very cross-disciplinary, specialized in something, then you might be useful for the upcoming years and you stay useful for the market. So that's for later.
Yeah, totally right, Antonio. I would add to it in the meaning that if you think about industrial revolution was exactly that, right? That people were doing everything, and suddenly the industry thought, okay, no, it's better for you to just put the nail in, this one just to put it together, this another to package it. So it was so much about specialization and getting things faster. And right now there are two ways to look into it. Like a lot of people, you come to me and say like, okay, so you can do everything. So you are the master of none. You don't know much of anything.
How do you answer that?
Yeah. And then other people or other companies, you come to me and say like, oh my God, we found a unicorn. Yeah. She can help us with all of this. So which of the strategies you should to look at depends on you, right? And in your point of view, I enjoy the variety. I enjoy to touch the brand. I enjoy to do the website, to do the web store. I enjoy to create the app and also do the corporate material. And I think that is amazing. I do it all the time for all the projects. No, I don't. But when I can do that and I can offer more to my customer, it is helpful for them because they don't need to deal with someone else. So there is the two ways to see it. And if you are an employee, this will be very good if you are working with startups, with companies that are growing now or are putting their product to validate. But the ones that already have validation, they are already scaling, might think that they need an expert in something, and that's totally fine too. But I do believe that there is room for both roles.
Yeah, I like what you explained. Like most of the time we say it's the generalist versus the expert or the specialist, right? And we are also, in consulting, sometimes we used to say back then, you have to be like a generalist for a couple of years, and after that you should take a specialty and double down on it. But as you said, I think both can work, and you have to choose or not. Yeah, and that is very interesting. So you mentioned that your clients see you like a unicorn or master of none. What do you sell exactly?
Like I said, I do branding, I do graphic material. So I have done everything that you see digitally today. I can do it. I can do your brand, then I can do your magazine, your newspaper. I also your corporate material that probably you be printed or many times today not. Maybe you be a ebook, maybe you be a book. Then you go up into a website or a web store, then apps. I also am building native apps. That is the last addition to my skills. And is the one that I have been really putting a lot of effort on because I think it's magical that today we can make apps so easily. And a lot of people also ask me like, okay, so you have done websites for so long and now you are doing apps, but apps are not so interesting, right? I would really love to touch really quickly on that because an app is already installed on your customer phone. And the website, they need to recall the address, they need to have it bookmarked. And if they lost it, they may lost access to you. Maybe they don't sign up your newsletter, but with an app, you can send them a notification. So there are a lot of advantages to having an app. You don't see like Instagram has a website, but if for you to interact with it, is an app. Like how many of those products you use daily, you go on a website to visit you or you use on an app. Think of that yourself, right? So this is one of my latest addition to my products.
How do you build those apps?
I did build on top of Figma. That is already the tool that I use as a designer every day for at least the six last years. Figma has been part of like after. Okay, so I started using CorelDRAW, right? 99.7 and Adobe PageMaker that doesn't even exist anymore. Today is like Adobe. What is the name? Forgot. InDesign. So Adobe InDesign has replaced Adobe PageMaker. And so those two were the tools I started using. Then I went up for Dreamweaver, Fireworks that also don't exist anymore. No. And now you start to code like, HTML, CSS using Bootstrap about 10 years ago. So, and since then I have been coding just HTML, CSS and Bootstrap and things like that. So when I came to, I am a graphic designer, right? So I did migrate to Illustrator and I have done brands there and everything. And web evolved from Photoshop. That was, we were cutting these images into crazy pieces and putting together into a table to Sketch. Sketch was the magic, right? Like a magic that happened to design was Sketch. It was so amazing to see that you didn't need to copy and paste the same button over and over again anymore. You could create this little design system already. But then came Figma and replaced Sketch, or didn't replace, but got many of their users because Sketch still exists and many companies are still using it. Yeah. It's a very good tool too, but very Figma has replaced that. And with Figma, even Canva kind of lost a bit because it's so easy to make templates there and everything. So when I learned that I could build native apps using NoCode and these would start on Figma, I was like, wow. This is it. Yeah, because crazy. I have been building already apps on Figma, right? To validate, to test with users, to deliver the high fidelity prototypes for the developers to build. So when this was part of the process, I was like, okay, I found my place. So that's it. I really want to do that.
That's very, very interesting because based on Figma, you can create apps, and then we go back to that. But first, maybe how would you define no code? Because you mentioned that term right now. What's no code for you?
I would say that NoCode today is a brand.
Oh.
And what I say that it is because there are a lot of tools kind of migrating from NoCode to visual development. And it took a while for people to see NoCode as a movement or to really reinforce it. But the thing here is that even that NoCode was already in place, NoCode has been there forever, right?
Yeah, you mentioned
if you think
Dreamweaver.
of if you think Excel, it's a no-code tool. You are
Yeah,
doing all of this form without code. So this is a no-code tool. Figma is a no-code tool, and everything that you don't need to code and you can use, even Canva, let's say like this, would be no-code. So it is a little bit of misuse of the word that I think it became a brand just to really inform people that they would not need so much technical background or technical knowledge to use a new tool.
Yeah, it became really like a marketing positioning, right? You could see years ago and even now, like those big guys, ACP and Microsoft and Google acquiring, companies and then putting no code in the word and say, okay, we have a no code tool here, a no code tool there. And no code became like, as you said, a marketing positioning. So it's very interesting. But nowadays, I see also the opposite trend and seeing all the big guys, like Xano and other no-code tools, but for scale, that are trying to putting down this no-code notion and say, oh, we are visual programming, because CTOs don't like really like the word no-code. Developers don't like the word no-code. And so on the marketing side, the adoption has not achieved the level that those software companies, no-code software companies wanted to achieve, because that's my impression. Those guys don't like the word and what it represents and what's behind this. So it looks like now we are rebranding a bit the movement. You could see that maybe this year No-Code Summit going to see this visual programming notion, this, this concept of visual programming coming back, and especially with AI, like no code. Oh yeah, but AI is not no code. So they try to twist a bit things to say, oh yeah, but you see, it's like we build products, but without coding. So it's visual programming. Maybe it's going to be like voice programming or something like that. But yeah, definitely, it's a very good answer about the no-code branding.
I would add to it in my opinion, I was just at a WasteConf in Poland, and I was speaking about it with Andreas from Toddle, the founder, and also Michael from Sano. And we were discussing this subject. Exactly, it's not really that they think that the term it's bad for them or it's bad marketing. The problem is that a lot of people think that no code means also no logic, means also not understanding on how things work, means like it is so easy that you don't need any brain activity. Like let's say like this, just to put it really low. The point is that a lot of people are still locked into the idea that you don't need to understand why, for example, right? Like if this, then that. Like it's really, it's about the logic. So if you don't understand that, any tool that works with programming or have a logic behind, it will be hard to understand and hard to use. And that's what they are trying to avoid, walking out from it to a visual development, because then they are talking with people and saying like, you need to understand logic.
Exactly. We need, I like to say, and I used to say, I still use to say, the future of no code is code. Because actually, and by that I mean, all the best practices that we've seen in programming for years, like branching, versioning, security, and so on, they are coming slowly but surely in the no-code ecosystem. And if you want to scale with no-code, you need those best practices. So yeah, definitely. We're going to see things merge. And now with AI, you can see that people without knowing programming can ask code snippets on AI and then integrate those snippets on a no-code tool. And then you can have this, what we call low code, where you have the no-code tool, and then you can embed some code to make some custom features. So yeah, exactly. I've seen that you mentioned you are building applications for clients, but I've seen also that you've built several applications with no code for yourselves. Can you maybe explain what are those applications and what motivated you to build your own products?
I think every designer kind of wishes to see their product on others people's hands. So when it's your own, you can decide where it goes, what is enough, what should be changed, how the root of it is going. So my motivation to really to create my own products, it's even further than that. Not just to fulfill the things I actually wish they were already in the world, but also learn. Right? When you want to learn these tools for yourself or to build products for customers, the one thing you hit on is that if you don't get customers, you don't get products to build, and then consequently, you probably don't learn it. So what I realized was, okay, since I have already several ideas, I will put those in practice and I will use all my ideas in the most diverse ways so that I can learn different phases of the process and also deal with different types of features and everything else.
Like this maker mindset. I like to say that we need more product mindset in the maker field, and we need more maker mindset in the product management field. So it is perfect. What brings you energy?
I would say meet people. Like I'm really excited for next week to go to Paris again for the NoCode Summit and connect with these people that are there, are also building their own products or are using different tools. I also learn a lot from them, and I think it's really delightful to have connections with other people that are creating or using these tools.
Yeah, interesting. What's the project or app that you are the most proud of?
I would say I'm proud of all of them, but especially from my products, I am very proud of the UX UI Hub because I am a mentor. I am a designer for more than 25 years. I am a mentor, and I have been mentoring for the last 6 years. And in these 6 years, I have seen a lot of people get interested in design. Right? I started doing design when design was not that cool. And 6 years ago, kind of there were this boom. Everyone wanted to be a UX UI designer. These boot camps filled up with people. I mentored so many of those. And every time when they would finish the boot camp, their dream would be getting a job. And when there are so many people out there trying to find a job, it's really hard to have demand because you have companies already filled with designers and there were so many layoffs and everything. So what I realized is that for those junior designers to skill up or even for senior designers to learn something new, now we are talking about no code, we are talking about AI, and even if we wish or not, and this is already there for a while, there is still a lot of people that didn't use it and didn't try it and had never built anything with those tools. So I realized they needed more resources. They needed to see other experts doing their own thing for them to follow on this and have motivation. And then I created this UX UI Hub app exactly to fulfill that need and to spread the word about design and how they could skill up and also, let's say, stand out in the market, right? Because the point is that if everyone has the same bootcamp, has the same 3 projects, you are not going to go too far if you just keep yourself with that.
Exactly, bootcamps are not enough, and we've seen that a lot in web development. You had like traditional bachelor degree in computer science, and then you've seen all those bootcamps in 1 or 2 months, and you just used to do like a bootcamp for 1 or 2 or 3 months, Then you got a job and say, oh yeah, I'm a web developer now. But as you mentioned, you need to stack skills and connecting the dots and learn more stuff. Can you maybe just explain a bit more like what's the UX hub? Is it like a hub? Is it like a template? Is it like a document? What is it exactly?
Okay, so the UX UI Hub is an app. It's a native app for iOS and Android. Was already built with NoCode. So on top of Figma, the whole design is there. Also using Bravo, Airtable as database, and Tally. Tally is a no-code tool for forms. So there are a lot of forms that people can contribute with job posts, for examples, or events or things like that. So when they add those via form, I receive an email and then I get to know about that event. And I think if it fits to the app, then it will be added. And this app has today events, industry events like a conference, webinars, everything for the UX and UI field, right? For the designers. Also has an area that's called Connect, where other designers connect with each other. Like when you create your profile, like not everyone does, you can also use it as a guest user, because I hate when you have to create a login and password to access anything that you don't even know if you wish. So you can use it as a guest, but if you realize and you want to register, you can register yourself and you can say if you are open to connect or not. And what it does is like when you are open to connect, it shows you together with all 100 of other designers that are open to connect. So if you go to their LinkedIn profile, you can just hit like connect and those people you connect with you because you are inside the hub too. You can write them a message like I met you there. There is then job boards, a lot of job boards, like a 30 or so for positions that are remote, positions that are freelance and everything. So very different from each other. There is an area for experts. So every month there is an expert that comes to the hub and to share what were the courses or the links or the articles, books they read that helped them grow in their career, which I think it's fabulous because if you want to follow one of those, you learn from them, from the source, what you should be doing. And also a way to show how these experts are actually validating their work and helping the community, because many of them that have courses, have seminars, workshops, and things like that. And for the last but not the least, we have an area for resources. And there is a lot of resources already, almost 500. So resources with article, books, and courses and everything. And this app is updated every week together with a newsletter that goes with the less events and less resources added.
How do you find the time to do all of that? Is it crowdsourced or you do that everything by yourself?
I would love it to be crowdsourced. So it started very simply as a list of events, which didn't take much time. And for a couple of years was just simply that. But it grew from 0 to 1K users in that time. And I realized, okay, this is not enough. So after the update I have done with all these areas that I just mentioned, this app achieved almost 3,000 now. So it's 2,700 users already. And these users grow because of it, grow because of the attention I'm giving to it and also the love. So today, this app takes me a day of my week, so about 8 hours to keep updated every week. But it was much longer time before. So it is a work, but it's not such a work that cannot be done. Yeah. But since you asked about crowdsourcing, I can say that I'm really glad that 5 junior designers have worked for this app and have contributed to it. Some of them did help with the research on these new features. Some others helped with creating new images for the new events that would be added. Other new research for the research resources tab. So it is really nice to see that these also contributed to their understanding of UX UI. It's also on their portfolio. So it was a way to contribute with them as a junior designers, but also contribute to the community in the end.
Wow. I will put the link in the description. And this is all for free, or do we have to pay?
All free.
Wow. So you didn't think about monetizing this huge resource. It's crazy.
This is kind of monetizing right now, but it's not for the end user. So
Okay.
there is now a new area for ads inside the app. So it's like
Okay.
little banners that are there to be sponsored. Also, people can sponsor the newsletter, and consequently, they also get inside the app. So this is a way to monetize it a little bit. Not a huge thing still, but some support to the community is giving.
Is it a success for you?
For me, it is, because it's nice to see a lot of people connect with me because of that app. And it's also a very good way to display for those designers that they are using a product that is built with no code. So that is, in the end, my main goal. It's for you to use a product that is no code, see how things work, and then afterwards say like, oh, wow, if you can do this, I could do something else too.
That's crazy. I like it. That's a nice way. How would you define success then?
That's a hard one, right? Like, a lot of people are defining success today by the number of followers. I'm not really a fan of that that idea. I would say that today I'm really happy with, I'm speaking at a podcast. I'm giving talks, right? I just went to a conference in Poland. I am going to speak in a conference in New York. And I think that has been a way to measure success for me, that, I can speak on those events and be in other places sharing the word about no code.
Oh, that's interesting. What does a meaningful life look like to you?
I would say that it should be helpful to others. Like, for me, it's really rewarding to see other designers growing, or even when they are not designers and they start their course or their bootcamp and they have no idea if they are able to do that. And by the end of the bootcamp, they are so good already and they can see forward. It is really rewarding. So I do feel part of that, even though I'm not the one doing the hard work. If they don't do the hard work, this won't work at all. This won't get done. But I feel very rewarded when I see my students, my mentees kind of growing and being working on other companies and showing also their work.
That's a very good definition. Recognize a bit myself there, like being like, this feeling of being useful or being helpful, as you said, as a guiding principle. Love it. Karla, you've built hundreds of applications, right, with your agency. What are the biggest challenges you faced as a team of one? Because you are doing kind of everything by yourself. Is it harder to build products for yourself or for clients?
Building products for yourself, it's a fun deal. If you don't put a deadline to it, you stay there forever and never really publish, which is terrible. So that's why I really enjoy working with challenges. Like there is the Build the Keyword challenge, or there were also the Build Space challenge. There are so many challenges out there. And when you get into a challenge that says like, you need to build something in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month or so, it gets done because you have the time limitation. Because if you build something for yourself, it's never good enough. And if you build something for a company, it might be good enough for that time, but you see that nothing is ever perfect. There is always a cycle. You always iterate. It can always be improved. So the difficulty for me as being as a team of one, it's really feedback. It's something, the thing that I miss most is like when I'm not working with others, is that there is nobody to give me feedback and say like, I would do a little bit different, or have you tried that? That's what I miss.
You could use your community or, the UX
today
hub
for
to
sure.
Feedback.
Yeah, for sure. Today I can, like, I go to my other friends that are designers, right? But even then, when you are working in a team and you have this variety of people and everyone thinks differently, and they are all also from different areas, some of them might be developers, product managers. They have very different points of views. And I'm not talking about feedback only in the visual part. I'm talking also about function, which you already test with users and you gather some feedback. But it's really important, this feedback loop for me is the most important thing. And sometimes when you are building for yourself even more, it feels it lacks.
Yeah. Because sometimes you also have this part of the ego and say, oh, we know what people want, right? And you're like, this is how I want to do it. This is how I want to build it. And you build it like that. But it's very key to have this, user at the heart, like this user experience. Do you have like any techniques to make sure that you keep this user experience at the core of a product? Do you have like something you try to put in place to make sure that you are very customer centric, if you can use that term?
I would say that every designer has the user in the center. So user-centric design is not new, and design thinking process is also not new. And if you are a designer or you call yourself a designer, I hope you are using that to your advantage every day in every product. It doesn't matter if you build a website or an app or even a brand, you can always gather feedback from users and see how they see things. One of these days I thought was really interesting, and I really honestly don't know the answer for it. But we were discussing about Bravo, and someone told me like, oh, I really like their brand because there are two hands doing this. And then I was like, is that really two hands? Because I always thought there were two Bs.
Yeah, for maybe it was two Bs, right?
So I tell you, I don't know the answer. Might be two hands clapping. And I always saw
bravo.
two Bs. Yes.
My gosh, mind blowing.
And I thought were two Bs. So you see, even that, if you don't explain to users, might be misleading.
Yes, exactly. What's obvious for you might not be obvious for someone else. And wow, I never thought about that. Just a quick description about Bravo for the people who are listening, because Bravo is not it's not like Figma or Webflow or Bubble. Can you maybe explain in 2 words what is Bravo?
Oh, 2 words. Come on.
Maybe in 2 words. I mean, in a few sentences.
Okay, so Bravo is the central piece when you are building a native app using NoCode on top of Figma. Bravo is the one that imports the Figma file and connects it with the real data that comes from Airtable or Sun or any other database. You can also create your own, but the point here is that Bravo is in the center. Then you have a Figma file coming from it and also the database, and it's there where the magic happens, and it goes to your phone as a phone that you can swipe and click and do all of these things you are used to do.
Put the link in the description too, because it's a nice tool. I didn't know that one, but I discovered I think two years ago at the NoCode week in Barcelona, and we met the team there, and was like, oh, interesting tool actually for the front end. So I was like, oh, nice job, guys, nice job. All right, can you maybe walk us through your typical design process when you take an innovative idea, and you go from the idea, the concept, to a fully functional product?
I like to make it a 5-step process. So the first one is for you to have the idea. What is the problem you are going to solve? Do you have already an idea, or you don't? If you don't, you may just go to your network, you check it out what's out there, you browse things, or maybe you take a product that you have been using that doesn't have that feature you wish. So you can have several ways to find an idea that you are going to do. The second one is to do the prototype. Of course, between the idea and the prototype, there is a lot of user research and everything, but here I'm trying to simplify the process. So in the second step, you go to the prototype and you create a prototype on Figma. You can do a mid-fidelity. A prototype doesn't need to be high fidelity. Then later on, you can use the details, go for colors and everything. So you do this prototype, you make it clickable, is easy to use, and I already maybe do some testing with your users. check if they understand what it is for, how to use, and everything else, and iterate, right? The third step is for you to Bravorize it. Like in the case that I'm talking here about native apps, I use Bravo. So I turn that prototype that now it's from Figma into something that you can also click on your phone and have all these gestures that you are used to on your phone on a real app. So this is what I call Bravorize your file. The fourth one is for you to add the real data. Then this can be a Google spreadsheet, an Airtable, a Suno database, any database you want to combine with your app. You connect with it with the real data, and then you have an app with real content going on. And the 50th step is to publish. And publish involves a lot more than just going to the App Store and Play Store. Also involves you to spreading the word about your product, because if you don't tell people about it, no one you know.
No, built and it will come. Doesn't work.
No one you know. So you go to Product Hunt, you go to all these launch websites that are out there, go to the App Store, Play Store, and talk with your connections, talk with your friends, speak with your mom and tell her, just tell to all your friends, to your grandma and everyone else.
You choose your mom, read the mom test before, just in case. And for the other, yeah, that's true. Communities are also helpful. We've discussed with String, I think, in this podcast, the previous episode, and we talked about product marketing launch. And as you mentioned, there's a lot of steps to do before launch. And distribution is key, as you mentioned before. Distribution becomes harder and harder to stand out because a lot of people are creating nowadays application. So yeah, definitely right. Communities, challenges are also a great way to do soft launch. So yeah.
About you saying on the distribution is hard and hard, I want to add one point here.
Yeah.
I forgot. Let me go back. Distribution is harder and harder. Oh my God, was just so in my head. Let's see if I remember quickly. Yeah. So I want just to add one point on that.
Yeah,
people forget and people are so curious about no-code scalable. Can I have, I don't know how many users using my product when they don't even know if they will have 100?
Yes. Good point.
A lot of companies spend maybe 2 years to build a product to launch that no one will actually use. You don't know if your product will be that one product. Nobody knows. Everything grows slow. So if you are worried about it, don't worry anymore. Just put it out there, see if people want it, iterate on it, improve. Like many of the products we use today started as other products. YouTube was not a video, it was a dating website. Instagram was not really for you to add pictures there. And you can see all of those stories around. A lot of ideas started as one thing and they pivot to another thing in the middle because they realize that actually what users want is something else. So why are you not starting yet?
That's very, very good insight because, I spent a couple of weeks this summer trying to learn, new tools because that's the game, right? There's always a new tool in the NoCode ecosystem, new open source, new, Xano because it's more scalable. And I was like, oh yeah, it's good to have like a good scale, like a tech stack that is scalable, which is scalable like Xano WeWeb or Superbase WeWeb or, Web Studio. I'm into Web Studio right now. I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. It can scale, but still find value in software and Airtable because you can launch super fast something. And sometimes you was interested about like the scale. Nowadays I'm trying to build with Cursor and Burst and AI stuff. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna use code so that it's gonna be like super scalable, super fast. And you are looking for the speed, robustness, everything, security, to make sure that it's gonna be like super scalable. But if you build a product for yourself, not for a company or a big enterprise, a big company, you don't care. You shouldn't care. It's good to have tech stacks for. That's how I do it for me. for your personal side project, side product,
Mm-hmm.
and the tech stack for companies or tech stack for another context. Depending on the
I would
context,
say
you
tech
choose.
stack to the idea, right? Because some
Yeah.
ideas cannot be built with this tool,
Oh yeah,
should be
that's
built
true.
with the other tool. It really depends on what you envision for your product. And that's what you have to understand. The no code spectrum is huge, but you have to know the right tool to build what you want to build. And to see if that is since that is the core feature of your product, if users don't come, they are
Mm,
not interested.
true. Talking about tech stack, what's your tech stack? Because we mentioned Bravo. Do you
Mm-hmm.
have other tools in your tech stack that you like to use for your projects?
Okay, so yeah. Um, when talking about no code, yeah, I use Bravo Studio, I use Airtable,
Mm.
I have used Software Glide for a couple of little projects. I also learned how to build with Todo, which I am in love with, and
Okay.
I really recommend. I can say that enough because maybe because I have a developer kind of brain. I was never a very good developer, so I
Mhm.
knew how to build and create HTML code and everything. But I am average developer. I'm
Mm.
not a super developer. And of course, as a designer, I don't need more than that. But still, like when you go building something in Todo, you see that there is the logic behind it and it's really development driven and they are building the thing so well done. Like, so they say if you can build with React, you can build with Todo, and I built a
Mhm.
product there. So I'm really happy with the results, and I do think that can be really interesting.
Mm.
What else? So I am learning some tools like Good Barber, for example. It is one also that delivers native apps, but
Okay.
it's not on top of Figma. It's kind of a drag and drop because every tool has its own users, right? This
Mm.
one is really for people that want to build a native app and a web app. So
Oh,
you
like
can have a website and the
what's the name?
built on top of Good Barber. I
Oh,
know
okay.
the name is a little bit different. It is not a salon. It's really no code app builder.
Okay. Never bothered. But I'm gonna Google it. All right. That's interesting. So you're still learning new tools, still learning new
All the
um
time.
things like that. That's very good. And I think it's a good sign that you need to keep pursuing. Talking about new, did you already try AI stuff like coding with AI or like no code, like Versal cursor or something like that?
Sure. Like I think, actually, I believe really, like you were saying, oh, creating code with AI, it's much easier, it's much simpler. And it is true. It is super true. But the thing here is that if you are not a coder and that code comes with a bug, you
Yeah.
may don't know how to solve that. It's so hard. Like I know how to code, so I can read it. But most of the
Mhm.
people that don't know, you just keep maybe 6 hours trying to solve something that is really small. So
Yeah.
it is helpful for people that don't code that AI can help them with code. But it's not 100%, guys. Just don't think that you can be a developer
Uh,
based on AI. This is crazy, right?
hey, this is crazy.
I have tried code with ChatGPT, Claude. I like
Mm.
Claude better now. I don't know why. They say
Yeah.
that it's
So
for
that.
designers.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe designers will love Claude. It feels creative too.
Yeah. I don't know the design. It's
Yeah, I
more
don't know. It is a
engaging. I
little
don't
bit
know.
more creative than ChatGPT, but ChatGPT is really good too. And of course, I also tried other tools that are AI for image generation and also
Mm.
text generation, audio generation. Of that can also improve my products, can also help creating videos and things like that.
Mm.
I have another tool in my tool stack too that's called Jitter that is not it's no code too, but it's not AI. It's really easy to use. They also have a Figma plugin. It's amazing too. I have created video for 100 Animals app I have using that tool. I would really recommend if you want to create your own 1 minute teaser for your product.
Nice. You know about your tech stack using Bravo and the no code tool. we always talk about like, yeah, it's fast, you go to market and you ship fast, and time to market is super quick. What are the limitations of your tech stack right now? The Bravo tech stack, I mean.
That's a great question. Like with Bravo today, you can build an Instagram.
Okay.
So what's the limitation, right?
Yeah.
I would say the limitation is your creativity. And of course, there are things you cannot do exactly how you do normally in an app. Might be some limitations for conditionals, but you can find creative ways to do it, or you can find different ways to do it. So it really depends. There is nothing that a customer come to me and say like, okay, let's build this. And I say like, okay, this is definitely impossible. If you want to use, for example, Apple Health Kit, you cannot today. But if it's a normal app, like if it would be a Spotify, if it would be a Airbnb, you could build that.
Oh, like that. I've heard it was, more limitation than that, but that's good then. When we think about like challenges, I'm like, what challenges should we anticipate then when we want to build products, before? What are the common mistakes you see when the clients, as you said, go to you and say, oh, I want this app, like that? What are the common mistakes to avoid?
The most common problem is that they don't really have an idea that is fixed. It is really like they believe, okay, I just need 2 screens, or I just need this and that. And it involves much more than that. So that's why I think the first step is for you to really, don't need to go to Figma if you don't know Figma. Do a paper prototype. Try to use it. Check if you have everything you need for your app to work. Then afterwards, go digital. And then at that stage, you can see if Bravo, Glide, Softer, whatever tool it's out there is the right for you. It's the right for your need, because it really depends on each project.
How do they react on that?
React?
What do they answer to that?
Well, I would say a lot of the customers that come to me, they already have an idea. Sometimes they are already trying to build, and what they get stuck is in the smaller things. Maybe they don't understand code, and then they are putting variable names with space. It's like really the little things that can make you spend days trying to debug.
Yeah.
And when we get 1 hour together, afterwards they are like, oh my God, I should have done this earlier. So sometimes it's that money that you want to save, not hiring an expert, that you actually save you a lot of time.
Yeah, the naming conventions, you can quickly see, if it has been built by someone with experience or someone who is trying things.
Yeah.
Based on the way it's structured and so on.
Yeah, and it's totally fine, right? Like both ways work. Like people should try to build it themselves too, because I think it's actually an advantage. When a customer comes to me and says like, I have been trying forever to make this work, and they say like, it doesn't work. I have done everything you told me. And then I'm like, okay, let's check it together. And then after 5 minutes, they are like, okay.
Like that.
It's the best price.
Yeah, I think learning is nice. And I think, sometimes you used to say, especially nowadays, that you should have like 3 offers, like done for you, done with you, and done by yourself. Do it yourself. That's the name. So maybe to do it yourself is like the UX Hub, where people can go there and learn everything. Then you have the done for you do everything for the others. And then you have the doing with you. And I think sometimes it's very good to have this, because the learning process, the rationality behind like every decision you do is very important sometimes. And because sometimes the learning is more important than the earning, because you learn how to fish basically, right?
Yeah.
If it works, fine. If it doesn't, then you might have learned precious lessons for the future if you want to iterate. So, like it.
Yeah.
Talking about clients, are they aware about NoCode? Is it like an argument that you use? to attract them?
So I do talk about no code a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and I have created courses about it. I try to motivate others to join this revolution. I do believe in this that I'm having here behind me, that design and no code, you be a single role, that the designers, you be the ones building and launching the first version of products and not without having a development team behind them. So I am a truly believer. I'm doing this because I believe in it.
Mm.
But if you don't, and people come to me and they want a native app, many of them don't care how you achieve the end result. If it's code or it's no code, they want an app and that's it. So, how much it will cost to them, how much it will cost to maintain, how much it will cost to be built. This is what they take into consideration most of the time. How long it takes to build. Like, okay, you go to a traditional developer, you ask for a very simple app, they you tell you 7 to 12 months, I will tell you 4 to 8 weeks. Which one you choose?
Yeah. And as we mentioned at the beginning, it's also the way you put your the UX, the experience, it also works for services, right? So if you have like a brand design and you explain on your website, okay, this is what you're going to do. This is the return on investment you can expect. This is the time to develop the app and so on. It also brings them more, less friction, or, like you're like more toward, like, say, accepting the risk and say, okay, I'm going to go this because it's all about the experience, the copywriting. Like, okay, I can trust. It's all about trust too. I think the value of design there. So basically, I was going to say, oh yeah, maybe they care about no code, but actually they don't. What they want is the end product,
But,
the app.
I would add to it that some, even when they don't care
Mm-hmm.
about no code, like I cannot say the name of the app, but I was speaking with a founder and I told them that I wanted to give them as example in one of the talks I give. And they told me like, oh, we would love to be featured, but we don't like investors knowing that we are no code because they think that we don't have a power.
Yeah.
And I was very surprised with that answer, but I totally understand. That
Mm-hmm.
might be the case with the people that they are dealing with. But still, like they also opt for no code and they are growing as a no code and they are still using no code and they are afraid to expose that because venture capital might not
Yeah.
understand
Because
it or not think that it is interesting.
yeah, I heard the same feedback from VC because they say, yeah, the governance wise, the code doesn't belong to you. If it's your, depending on, of course, of the no code platform you're using, if you use Bubble or something else, the code might not belong to you. The data might not belong to you. Everything you build is not yours, basically. So, and you see sometimes some people shifting to a more open source tech stack or to go back to code with AI, to make sure that the code is yours, the governance is okay. And so you're not stuck in the, locked in the, trapped in a vendor lock-in or trapped in any other limitation of no-code tools because we have, of course, solutions in the no-code ecosystem. So, yeah, I can understand. Do you have other common fears or doubts when you talk about no-code to your clients? Is it the main one?
I think it is, like I said, I do believe that you should build and publish your first version of your product using no code, maybe the second, maybe the third, maybe until you achieve, I don't know, 20,000, 30,000 users. I have customers with 10,000 users already.
Oh,
So it's already using no code. Maybe you need 20,000, maybe you need 30,000, maybe you can go even further. But as soon as you wish, you already have a model for developers to emulate. So they know already what they need to build. They know what's the standard. A database, you can always move a database to some other place. You can put it in your own server. You can take care of the backup. So I don't see that's a huge problem. And if it is a huge problem for people that come to me, I would think that they wouldn't come because I didn't get those yet. So I do believe if you are already advocating for no code and like I'm not coding apps, I know how to code a website. I don't know how to code an app. I don't know Objective-C. I don't know Swift. I don't know Java. And I don't want to learn. I don't want to learn. And I won't learn.
So stick
That's
to
it.
you. Yeah, make a stand.
Yeah.
Would you recommend that to established companies? Because you mentioned, 10,000 users, 20,000 users.
Mhm.
Would you recommend that approach to an established companies? For example, I don't know what kind of clients do you have, but bigger companies.
Couple of years ago, Nestle was looking for a no-code developer. I know that
Really?
no-code developer term, it feels very strange, but yes, couple of years ago, it's not today. It's 2 years ago. So there are big companies already doing this for them to start with new products. This is not something that it's from my head. There are companies also doing this just to test their new features or new ideas with the very limited test space, with a very limited number of users. So they can really know that that's what they want before they add it to their product. And again, the huge advantage there is that developers, you have what you build after they see it. So they saw it here, they know how it works, now they can replicate. But when there is just like, okay, I'm a designer, I finish the file, I give it to developers many times, there is lost in translation in the middle. Oh, how this button should act. What should happen if the button is clicked. So this you kill when you have a prototype that really emulates what is real, right? When you use no code to create an app that emulate all these gestures we have, this is helpful for the developers to build something on top later on.
But how would you integrate that? Would you do like copy paste, like replicate current application in a no-code stack? Or would you go in the app or the web app and you redirect into a no-code stack?
You mean afterwards or
Yeah,
like
afterwards. If you want to test a new feature, for example, because we mentioned new products, but if you have like already product on the market with thousands of users, you want to test something, how would you integrate this?
So maybe you create a really little product just for that one feature with no code. Then you test with a limited number of users. You give them power with something new. And after it's tested there, you add to your product and invite them to your product. Or maybe they already have an account there, but then they have access to that feature that was just exclusive at that other point.
Like that. Thank Karla. That was a great answer. Talking about companies, is it from client services to launching your own apps and courses? Oh yeah, and talking about courses, just one question. I write this down right now. You mentioned you're creating your courses, so where can we find them?
There is one that's not that's outdated or not updated on Udemy. That is right now at a very low price too, exactly because of that will be updated next year. So this is using Bravo Vision or Bravo Studio 2. Now the version live is 3, so things have changed. If you understand Figma already, it's like a change in the UI from Figma 2 to Figma 3, which changed a lot of things. So Bravo is the same. Photoshop also updates themselves every year. So when you do a course like this and the tool creates a new interface, then it makes it pro to need an update, right? The second course I did a live course. It was a 12-week course, 1-hour class every week, which I taught everything I did to update the UX UI hub. So from login to passwords to areas where the user would connect, create their profile and everything else. So this was a live course. Is also available on SuperPeer. And I want to edit that at some point and add it in a different. And the other thing I am doing too very soon is called NoCode Sprint. I created a product called NoCode Craft, and I did it in 21 days, doing the whole design thinking process. It was like doing user research, thinking about the problem, iterating the problem, thinking what the user actually wanted and everything else. So I want you to be able to do the same in 21 days. Every day you receive a video and you receive a task. And if you achieve those tasks by the end of the 21 days, you have a very simple product built that could be published to the stores.
Awesome. NoCode Craft. I'll put the link in the description. This is the app.
Yes,
right?
This is the app, indeed.
This I like the way that you diversified your services, their skills, and also revenue, because I think some of them are paid courses, right?
Yes.
How have you diversified your revenue streams right now? Can you maybe share a bit in
Sure.
euro, but in percentage? Does it represent a lot of on your revenue streams, the courses, the mentoring you mentioned? What else do you have, and in percentage for your income revenue? How do you?
So I do have, I can divide it into customer work, where in customer work I do mentorship too, like for people that want to do it themselves, right? So it's kind of a consult. And also like a founders or companies or even a team. So this is a mentorship with a company. It's a consult. Then I have also mentorships with designers that want to learn design, but also want to learn no code. That is a little bit like a boot camp that you go throughout the whole design process until your app is done. Then I have courses, and all of these you see, it's kind of a education, right? So 70% of my revenue today, it's educational, like coming from educational resources. And then there are the courses and also Bravo Expert Hours. For example, you are building yourself, but you have a doubt or there is something you cannot really fix. So you come to me and then we go through the problem and see how to fix it. I take a look at what you are doing, your base, and give you examples also of what you should be improving in your UI or in your flow and things like that. And the other part is building products, right? So my products are for free at App Store and Play Store, but many are also paid. So this is also a revenue source. I have today 17 apps for myself built.
Whoa, really? 70 apps on the App Store?
I think 12 of them are paid. Yeah, I think there are 12 of them that are paid and 5 are free. So those are also a source of revenue, which I built once. And time to time, I need to create a new bundle and add it because App Store changes things. Play Store also change things. So sometimes I need to do that, but it's something that might take 20 to 30 minutes a year to update. So it's not a big investment.
Wow, this is nice. Is it like diversification important for you for your sustainability and growth? Do you think you can still grow?
Yeah, I think there is still a lot of room to grow, even more because I see that the idea to build with no code is still growing. A lot of people, we are talking about it like it's common knowledge, and for us it's so obvious, but it's not obvious. And there are a lot of people still that don't know this. Like in Brazil, in November and December, I will be giving one talk and then also one workshop. I have never done any content in Portuguese before. That's my mother tongue.
Yeah.
And, if things there are really is lower than here. And in here, we have a lot of people that don't know no code yet or don't know that it's possible to build an app using no code. There is still a lot of room to grow.
Wow. Start something like that too. This is crazy, but it's a very good sign of the growth. And I think community is also spreading the word. By that, we are also making the cake or the pie bigger for everybody. So I think it's I was going to say safe, but so healthy to have communities and people trying to share knowledge, right? Because in doing that, you also make the awareness of these possibilities, in the head of more people. So I think it's good to have that. good strategy. Everybody's like making the pie bigger. So that's why the No Code Summit is a great thing to have. All right.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. And I do agree with you. I think there are a lot of things going on and things are growing, but still a lot of people don't know it. And we need still to be talking about it for more people to get to learn about it.
Yeah. How do you see the fields of product design and no-code development evolving in the next few years? And what emerging trends should professionals be aware of?
For me, it's exactly what I told you before. I do believe designers are in a very great place or great position to go forward being the builders or the makers, creating the first versions of products and helping companies and founders to publish their ideas out there. I believe this is not something that you pass in blank, right? It will happen. It is happening already. I just saw last week, Dan Mao, it's a designer that works with a design system, have done a lot of work and everything, and he was, I am hiring a designer who ships. So this is already happening.
Yeah.
It's not it's not me telling you that it will happen. It's already happening.
It's already
People
there.
just need to be aware.
Yeah. You mentioned design system. Can you maybe explain a bit for the listeners what's a design system?
Sure. So we spoke a little bit about the old ways to do things, right? Like with Photoshop, we had all this image and we would cut it in pieces and then replace, duplicate, and put things in place and everything. Like everything was an image. A design system is kind of that. You create a component that has a piece of your software, let's say a button, and everywhere that you want to use that one button, you just copy and paste. But the thing here is that once you change this button color, the rounded corners, the font size, the style, all these other buttons change it magically. It's not magic, it's design system. But we need to create more products like this too. And there are a bunch of design systems out there that don't need to be customized, that could be used, like material design. Bauhaus has their own too, like a human interactive design, like they have created their own design system. You see all the products Apple have, they are all look the same. They have all the same types of buttons. They have the same type of color. That is because they use a design system.
So I knew material design, but I didn't know about the Apple one. But yeah, makes sense. They are super great. This is why you have this feeling of it in harmony, right? The same experience everywhere. You have less. Oh yeah, you're not surprised. It's natural. It's more intuitive because it's always the same app button, and you anticipate what the button will
that's
do.
the deal. Like it's the same pattern.
Yeah.
It's the same everywhere. And then you don't need to guess how it works.
Exactly. You
like
don't have
how
to guess.
A date picker works here is the same as work in this app, in this app, in this app, in this every app.
Exactly. Design system. So you increase the trust, because people say no, they already know how things work. You don't have to guess. Exactly. We mentioned already the AI part, building product with AI. AI is transforming the way we are making and building products already. What are some AI-driven tools or techniques you found particularly effective nowadays?
I think for people that are creating content, there is a lot of AI tools out there that can be really helpful. But if you think of a product, you now can have help creating the copy for your product. You can create the image for your product. You can create the content. You can create so much already with AI. But you can also create the visual design of it too. There are tools like Wizard, for example, helps you to create a interface. But like if you use Figma later on, you have to replicate that. But there are tools for you to brainstorm, to think outside of the box that could help you find some ideas or inspiration if you just don't like to browse Behance or Dribble for it. All these tools are helpful, and you should really use them as much as you want or as much it is helpful to you. There are some that you also create audio, video, like all of these can be really helpful for you to help your product be seen, marketed, and grow your audience.
Cool. Do you have clients already who are asking you to integrate AI in the app, or you have to use AI features or develop AI products for them?
Not many. Not at least in the native apps. Like I have seen a lot of people asking this for web products. And many times I see they are also trying to do the most of the same. It's like it's not that there is something new. It's like they are all trying to build the same thing but no, I have not seen anybody coming to me and say like, hey, no, let's build this AI product. I have seen the opposite, using AI to maintain or to create content. For example, there were a native app that was built in using AI-generated stories and AI-generated images. And I am even having one of these on my backlog because I would really love to gather it from AI, maybe a storytelling and then some image creating and also the voice behind it. I think could be really interesting. If you are an expert in AI and you want to do that, connect with me.
All right. For the listeners, you know what to do.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I don't want you to do it alone.
Awesome. All right, Karla, we are heading at the end. What advice would you give to those looking to future-proof their career in design or want to start in design?
Start creating the things you want to create.
Great advice. All right, looking ahead, what's next for you?
So I have this product called Team of One that is a portfolio showcase that I created to showcase my own apps. It's called Team of One. And the next is for me to add that for you also be able to have your own portfolio there and create your own page. So this will be not a project just for myself, but you will also be a product for others to also create their portfolio easily. The other product going on is called Fit Easy, and there I could build it already, the backend, using Sano or Code to create the conditionals I want. But I am still trying to stretch the max I can from Airtable to see if I can build it using it. If not, I will just give up and go to a more complex database.
Yeah, exactly.
And beside that, the third project is called Local Pass. And Local Pass will be a product for travelers to save money when they are traveling.
Oh, kind of a trip advisor or something like that?
No, I will start with Lucerne. As you know, I live in Switzerland, and Lucerne is I think it's the third most visited city in Switzerland. I cannot really assure that. But I can tell you from my own experience, that is the most beautiful place in Switzerland.
Really, Lucerne?
You don't need to go anywhere else. Just come to Lucerne.
All right.
I love this city. Yeah, I moved here exactly because of that. So I want to start it with here. It will be like a discount kind of club. So you join by paying a very little amount, but you get access to several discounts, like a 2 for 1. Going in a very expensive restaurant in Switzerland and paying half, I tell you, can be really of a benefit.
Awesome. Is it in the French-speaking part of Switzerland or the Italian Switzerland?
So it is a very important question, the one you just gave me, because there is Lausanne, that is in the French part of Switzerland, and Lucerne, that is almost the same. It's written totally different, but it sounds different. But I will tell you, in Italian is Lucerna, German is Lucerne, and then in English is Lucerne. And that's why these cities that have 3 names, depending on the language, is really hard.
That's why. Because I was thinking, I think I pass close to Lucerno because when I go to Italy.
Definitely.
So it's the
definitely.
Same. Okay.
It's Lucerna, yeah.
A bit of Culture générale, no, it's in French. All right. We are almost at the end of the episode. So I'm going to ask you questions and you can answer without overthinking about the answers. You ready?
Sure, go
All
for it.
right. Where are you in 5 years and what do you do?
I live in Lucerne and I am still a designer because I will be that forever.
All right. Best life. The questions you wished I asked, but I didn't.
It's an interesting one. We spoke about many things here. We talked about no-code, we talked about design and how these things are evolving too fast. I don't believe you missed anything, but there is always something to be talked, right? Like to be spoken about. Like I feel you did overall very well.
All right. Who are your favorite creators or builders or product designers?
Amazing question. That is so hard because, that is so hard. Without thinking, it's even harder. I have a lot of people that I follow on X and also on LinkedIn. They are amazing. It is really motivational for me to follow some people that are much better than I am, that I want to one day be as good as they are, and they probably will be in a different place still. I will always be seeking. And there are places that it's so comfortable to be because people are doing the same as you. They are in the same level as you. And I really love to be in both communities, the ones that you see that they are growing and that you have to grow to be around them. And also to be around the ones that are like myself in the same position, that we can share with each other all these struggles and learn from each other still because we are more or less living the same step. I prefer to not mention names at this point.
Okay, so no communities. All right. Your favorite business books or non-fiction book?
Oh, I love that. I just read business books. I can give you a list of 100 books or more to read. But
the top 5.
Instead of that, I will tell you, go to Blinkist. I love Blinkist.
Oh, really?
Yes, I love Blinkist. Yes, I listen to a book there every day at least, and sometimes he listen to the books I already listened to 3 times because I think it's really interesting for you to learn that, really learn that. And when I love the book there, then I read the book. So there are books that everyone will tell you to take your hands on, but I will tell you one specifically. A user experience design team of one. That is the best book you have to read as a designer because it teaches you which steps can you go fast, which steps should you cut off if you don't have time or if your research is really in a very short period of time, or if you don't have other members in your team, like as a team of one, you often don't have anybody else. Okay. So you have to know what you do, what you cut off, what you spend your time on. And this book is really delicious to read. I tell you, it's amazing. You should take a look. The second book I would recommend you to look at is Made Simple from Don Miller. It's also a great book for people that are starting their own business and are a little bit unsure of how things go. So I would really recommend that together with The Entrepreneur 2.0. I forgot the name of the author right now, but it's a really amazing book. If you like to listen to audiobooks, I would even recommend the author reads it for you. And I tell you, it is so good. I listen to it at twice speed, and it's always amazing. Like every time I listen to that book, I'm like, oh, so good. It's really good. It talks a lot about design, about ideas, how to monetize and everything else.
Love it.
And the last book I will talk about today, the fourth book, How to Design Your Life. If you are not a designer and you want to understand design, go for this book. It is really easy. Exactly. Really easy to understand design and how to apply it to your life instead of being like, oh, some magic about it and everything.
It's a very good book because I think everybody should have like a a lifestyle design course when you start university, because it's all about where you want to go, why you want to go there, how you can go there. It's you must get. Yeah. I think lifestyle design should be not a skill, but something that you have to learn at a certain point in your life. Otherwise, you just copy paste and you want what others want because you don't know what you really want. And I think
That's
it's exactly
it. Yeah.
a point where you become adult and you have to
They
say,
even did create the version that's called How to Design Your Work Life.
yes, that's the
So
version
because a
too.
lot of people thought us cannot be gone with work, and then they were like, okay, so we will write it for you
Yep,
to understand that this is applied to anything.
exactly. Don't want, because most of the people are trapped in the corporate ladder, and they're like, I want to achieve the next level, and what's next, and then that's not the purpose of life. Sometimes you have to find your own way and be good at something you really like. Don't have to chase about the next role, because it's the way up. It's the only way. That's false, right? It's
Yeah.
wrong. All right. A favorite podcast?
Oh my God. I listen to so many podcasts, but I think that fits super to this one. I would say Side Hustle School from Chris Global. I
Oh
love it.
yeah.
It's like just short
No, it's
episodes. It's
super
like
short.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's about ideas in the end. It's like how
Yes.
people
Yes.
had an idea, how they implemented it, it did work or not, how much they earn. And I think that's really inspirational.
I love it. I used to listen to that guy a lot when I was going to the gym, but it was years ago. But yeah, still good.
Yeah. There is another one too that I like, it's the opposite. So when Chris Global is doing episodes of 10 minutes, there
Mm.
is Founders.
Mm,
Founders is like from 1 hour, one hour
okay.
and 10 episodes, but he's talking about history and how big
Yeah.
founders have created what they did create, how they did it. And he tell the whole story based on the books that were written about them, like biographies. And I tell
Love it.
you, if you like biographies, I love this guy. Like David does this founders episodes are always amazing.
Yeah.
I can devour them all the time too.
Yeah, and it's very great. I love this kind of podcast too. Thanks for sharing, Karla. All right. Next people you would like to hear in this podcast?
Interesting one. Let's keep the no code as topic, right?
Product, no code,
Product. Okay, so
AI.
product, I would say El Savi, yeah. He's amazing with product. I would definitely recommend a talk with him. He's really well spoken too. It's like he'll
Sahil
do a
Lavia
much better job than I did.
did perfect.
Also, I would say from product would be really interesting to talk with Kiran, for example, that created the NoCode UK that now it's called Create With. I think it's also could be very interesting talk with him to talk about, how he's dealing with all of these from creating products and now creating events and then doing a conference. I think it's also a very different mindset of builder and maker.
Cool. All
Other
right.
people, like there is one guy I follow on Twitter that you meet in NoCode UK in NoCode Summit in Paris next week. Actually, and he is amazing. So I would talk with him too. I'm actually waiting for interviewing him next week, like
Oh,
just
really?
to know about everything that's happening. Yes.
Awesome. You are interviewing him for your podcast? Do you
No, I'm
or
interviewing him for myself,
oh yeah.
my
Okay,
own
okay, yeah.
life.
That's awesome. What was the name of the guy? No?
Actually,
Actually.
yeah.
Okay. Should check him. All right. I try to connect with him next week. All
Yeah.
right. Last question but not least.
Oh, let's
Where
put Sonia talk there
Oh
too.
yeah, tell me.
She's doing a lot. She's doing a lot in communities. She
Sonia.
is also really great. Yes, Sonia Calvo or Talkie.
Try to reach her out. So last question but not least, where can we find you?
On LinkedIn is the place where I post most. If you want to see pictures of vacation, I think that's the only thing that I do on Instagram ever.
Okay.
If you want to follow me kind of complaining about things and also interacting with things and talking time to time, the place. But yeah, the one place I use most is on LinkedIn.
All right. Same. Awesome. Karla, thanks for sharing. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your great insight. It was a real pleasure to have you here. I really enjoyed this episode. And I hope you too.
Yes, I did. I had a lot of fun, Antonio. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Karla. See you soon.
See you. Bye.